Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Noah. Welcome back to the continuation of Beis and Hamussar. We've been on leave for a little while, but now we're back and better than ever.
Took long enough.
Thank you. Is this your first time here? Okay. So tonight's speaker, thank you. Tonight's speaker, I would describe as a performer. We all know him this year by many different names. Some of you may know him by George W. Bush, as made evidence by this picture. Others may know him by current President Barack Obama.
Can I keep it?
Yes.
Pass him around, pass him around.
Some may even know him by African-American crime fighter Chris Tucker.
Is that Joey? Pass him around, pass it around, pass him around.
Is that Rich or
But I think the rest of us know him by his regular name, Daniel Sachs. So without further ado, Daniel Sachs is here to speak about learning from others.
Pass him around.
It's an honor. I gotta say, it's an honor. First, I want to thank Rabbi Singer and Noam Safir for making Beis Hamussar week after week successful. Their diligent work has literally inspired tens of people. Thank you for coming to my makom. I appreciate it. And from near and far around the base, I really appreciate it. I want to talk about something that I think a lot of us felt. Oh, but first I want to say Le'uli Nishmas from David said to this person, Chaim Yisachar ben Yechiel Zedel Dov. I don't know a lot about him, but Le'uli Nishmas. I want to talk about how when we got back to our respective homes in America and I went back to LA, there was this energy. There was this energy when we got off the plane, like, you know, I've just spent 7 months in yeshiva, everything is going to be different, you know, I'm going to learn 4 hours a day, and then 12 hours since you come back, everything's normal, you're on your bed, you're watching Homeland, whatever it is, and you are completely back to where it was. Those 7 months feel like an absolute flash. Everything is gone. I want to say that my aunt actually came up to me, and she's like, there's a certain glow about you since you've come back. And I didn't really notice this at first. And she's like, yeah, there's a certain glow about you since you come back. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I've always been this good looking. You know? But, and then I started to realize I am a little bit happier. I am a little bit better at not talking Lashon Hara. I'm better at dedicating my time to going to Minyan. I'm better at a lot of things, I thought. And I was thinking, what is it? What is it that upgraded my Jewish personality from, I would say, an iOS 6 to iOS 7? What was that upgrade? What was the cause of that upgrade? And I was thinking, a few days later, when I was babysitting my nephew Yehuda, he's really cute. He's a 1-year-old and he's a very cute guy. And he was playing on the carpet. And he was playing with this toy, and I was sitting on the couch. I was reading something, and I had to babysit him. And he was playing with this toy, and 30 seconds later, he cried, and I gave him a new toy, and then he cried again, and I gave him a new toy, and then he cried, and then he smelled. So I called my sister down to take care of it. But I started to realize that babies literally live for such a short-lived agenda. They live for the next 30 seconds. They live for the next 15 seconds. That's how they live their lives. And I was thinking, if you think about it from a bird's eye view, how is that so different to how high school people, how we lived before we came to yeshiva? What do we worry about? SATs, grades, where we're going to college, and what we're doing on Saturday night. Those were about the 4 things we lived for. That's a ridiculous thing. We lived as big babies. We lived as if we were contestants on Survivor, and the only thing we needed is our fish for dinner and not getting voted off the island. That's how we lived our lives. There was no substance to it, if you think about it. please do. So then I was thinking, when we got to yeshiva, we started realizing more and more about what life is and how to live our lives with greater purpose. And the more we learned Torah, whether it was consciously or subconsciously, this came into effect. We started hitting that backspace button on all of those short-lived agendas that we once had, and now we have a bigger agenda. And the more we learnt Torah, and the more we schmoozed with our Rebbeim, the more we learnt from our Rebbeim, the heavier our finger got on that backspace button, and the more of all those short-lived agendas that we once had, SATs, grades, the next year, the next 2 years, that's all we would think about. Not, let's think about Hashem, let's think about our Olam Haba, let's think about how we should treat our parents. All of that was gone when we start to learn Torah and we start to understand more. In my 8 to 9 Hamussar chavrusa with Zach Green, I learned one line with him. The first line of Mesilas Yesharim Perek Aleph is Yesod HaChasidus v'Shorosh HaAvoda Hatmima Hu Shishbarer V'Ames Eitzel HaAdam Ma Chavasa Ba'olama. The foundation of Chassidus, of being a complete Jew and having full servitude of Hashem, and to clarify and to understand the truth of what it means to live in this world and to understand what our obligation in this world is constantly, is what I learned with Zach Green, what we subconsciously or consciously learn when we're in our year in yeshiva. And we start to look at the big picture in life, and we start to understand that our obligation in life is more than what we're doing next year or the year after that or the next 30 seconds with our toys. And when we do that, we open our minds. Our minds aren't as closed. We're not as closed-minded people, and we open our minds up to new ideas, to learning from other people. In Perkei Avos it says, Ezehu Chacham, who is a wise person? Alomed Mikol Adam, a person who learns from everybody. And so when I was thinking about, this happier feeling I got when I was in LA that I didn't have before I left to yeshiva, I was thinking about how much I've learned from everybody, how much I've learned from Yisrael Goldberg, from his contagious laugh that everyone, is so happy when he's around. Levi Herman, you see him by his makom there with his Shnayim Mikra, always got a smile on his face. You look at Michael Boaz, he's always dedicated, learning Torah. When I was thinking after Minyan, I had a 30-minute chavrusa, I was so tired because it was so early in the morning. It was like 9, and I was thinking, like, how am I supposed to learn at 9:30, And I think about how Michael learns for like 15 hours a day, and how, probably. And how awesome that is. And you learn from this guy right here. A few months ago, I went to dinner with somebody. Somebody took us out for dinner. We were with a few other guys, and we were like, we knew a mutual friend, and we were like ripping on this guy. Not him, everyone but him. We were all like bringing out the best Lashon Hara you could possibly think of. I mean, it was amazing. It was hilarious. And this guy, he had like a straight face on, like he has right now. And I'm like, dude, you sick or something? He's like, no, but you want to know what's sick? What's sick is how you guys are like talking about this guy, and this guy's not even here to defend himself. So I commend you for that. Thank you. And so there's so much to learn from everybody around this yeshiva. We don't have to go far. Rav Davidel was telling me a story a few hours ago about how his Rebbe told his shir a story about how his Rebbe was giving a shir, and he said, I want to tell you something that I learned from my Rebbe. And the shir said, what is it? And who is this Rebbe? He said, it's this guy I met on the train on the way here, a hobo who was probably high off drugs. And he told me a Torah Chiddush. He said, what does Bible stand for? It stands for basic information before leaving Earth. That was what this guy told his Rebbe. And I was thinking, not that really connects to anything, except for that, we could learn from other people. And just to conclude, this happy feeling that I had, or anyone had when they came back and they were just like more patient with people and happier with everybody, that's only going to grow the more we learn Torah, the more time we spend in yeshiva, the more time we set aside time to learn Torah and learn from other people. That's just going to grow. The happiness is going to grow, and Rabbi Blawski and a lot of people always say that life is like going up on a downway escalator, and it's really tough. And when you get up to the top, and you're really, really trying to go up that down escalator, And you get to that top, and it's the happiest place in the world, a place we can't even imagine, the Max Cake Factory. So that, I'm going to conclude with that poor joke. Thank you everyone for listening, and I hope you could learn from it.
Personally, I just want to mention that being away, not only for Pina's mind, but the last few weeks, and knowing that this is going on, people were emailing me, those who spoke. First of all, thank you to Noam Sefer, to taking over, and all those who spoke. It was such a nice thing just to think about a group of people getting together, discussing a midah, trying to work a little bit, the energy, the environment that you can't find anywhere else in the world. Baruch Hashem, we have a special thing going. In terms of being a speaker, there's a thing that people think you have to be like the tzaddik hador if you want to say anything in front of other people. It's not. What we're trying to do is spread ideas that we have, the way that we work on ourselves. Hopefully everyone's working on themselves. Some things worked, some things didn't work. Sharing it together, it's a group effort. It's not like, who am I to speak to other people? Everyone has what to say, so just share it. In terms of the time that we're in now, Sfiras Omer is a big time for Tikkun Amidos. The Maharal has a vart that we bring a carbon that comes from Chitim. From Se'orim on Pesach, because that's a meichel of a behema. The behemas eat that, and then by Shavuos we bring a carbon that comes from Chitim, which is a meichel Adam. Now we're going through a transformation, almost from behemas to people. You think is the Maharal calling us behemas? Well, he wasn't the first one, because the Gemara says that people are similar to behemas in 3 ways and malachim in 3 ways, and we could choose whether we want to be like a malach or we want to be like a behema. So that's the transformation we're going through in terms of midos. Ben Adam Lechavero, the tikkun of the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva, everybody knows about. Ben Adam Lemakom, it's Chana LeKabbalas Torah. Derech Eretz is Kadma Torah. The way we act, how could we be a vessel to receive the Torah if we have a hole, this gaping hole of a midah that we haven't patched up yet? The structure of Pirkei Avos is it talks about the way we act, and then it goes into the Kinyan of Torah, because first we need to make sure we're acting correctly, then we can enter Kabbalas Torah. To end with the tefillah that some people say after counting Sfir every night. What are we counting for? Kidei l'tareinu mikliposeinu mitumosenu, that the Sfira should purify us from these spiritual shells and blockages that we have, the tumah that we have, and that we dive into the sakinas nafshosenu. We should fix our nefesh, ruchosenu, v'nishmosenu, because siguf kam tareinu ulkachenu v'kedushas chal, that we should have not only kedusha from this world, but ashpa of kedusha from the next world. We should all be zocha. Yeshikach for coming. It's good to be back.
Why are we bringing in the Sephardi Beis right now?
Right now?
I mean, not right now.
Who's going to? Didn't everyone go to Mars?